Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to Atheist Church. I see I've got some people in the chat. Hi, Junk Shop, Nevermore, Marianne. How you guys doing? I usually launch right into Atheist Church, but I am gonna say something before I launch into Atheist Church. And someone brought it to my attention, and I'm not going to say their name because I haven't asked them permission. So I'm not going to say their name. But somebody has brought it to my attention that in one of my live streams, I did use the word always. And I try absolutely not to do that. But, we are humans and, we all make mistakes. Now, it was a mistake, obviously. Nobody can say always or never. That's just not a thing that happens. But on my live streams, I'm just going with the flow. I am basically saying whatever comes into my head. So, there's no editing or anything like that. And now, let's get on to Atheist Church. So today's topic is, who is God? Christians can't even agree amongst themselves who God is. And I'm talking about more than just whether he's the Trinity or whether he's just one or, stuff like that. Many of you will know that I have talked in the past about El and Yahweh. The patriarchs worshipped El, who is the head of the Canaanite pantheon. The Israelites, after the so-called Exodus, which, by the way, never happened, but that's a whole nother story. Let's just say after Josiah's reforms, because that's actually the first time we ever hear of the Book of the Law, is when people are redoing the temple and somebody brings King Josiah the Book of the Law. We'll get there. That's actually the first time that we ever hear about it. Not in the Bible, obviously. But at any rate, Yahweh probably came about. We don't even know where Yahweh comes from. He was an imported god. Some say he came from Midian. But we don't really know. We do know that he is a non-Canaanite god. So we do know that. And most of the Israelites were Canaanites. Some of them were sea peoples. So you've got basically a mix of people coming together. See my Emergence of Israel series for more on that topic. But you just have basically a bunch of people coming together to make the Israelites. So So I have even asked Christians, do you serve God? Well, you serve God. You say you serve God. Okay. Well, which God do you serve? Do you serve El or do you serve Yahweh? And nobody ever answers that question. Oh my God. It's like they don't even know their own religion. So anyway, okay. So that's the first thing. You got to figure out which God you worship. Do you worship El, who is the God of the patriarchs? Hey, soldier. Or do you worship Yahweh, the God of the Israelites? So that's the first thing you got to find out. Okay. But secondly, you say, Christians will say they worship the God of the Bible. Junk Shop Library just touched on this in his live stream. Hey, Beej. The Bible is a horrible book. Read it. Christians, please read it. Read every last word of that book. You will find it is a terrible, terrible, misogynistic, anti-humanist, to borrow Junk Shop's word, book. It is. It's got slavery in there. And not only does God condone slavery, God even regulates slavery. Okay? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the tip of the iceberg, people. All right. So, getting back to who is God. I think we can say Christians will argue that everything that had a beginning needs a cause. The universe had a beginning, therefore the universe needs a cause. Now, I think, but I am not 100% sure, that is a repackaging of the Kalam cosmological argument. Okay, well, this is true, Beej. My question then is, if everything needs a creator, who created God? Nobody will ever answer that question. They're like, oh, he's always been. Well, by the Christian's definition, nothing can, always be. Everything has to have a beginning. According to their own arguments, everything has to have a beginning. So, when did God begin? Who created God? And they don't ever answer that. Of course, they can't answer that. But, and then you can go, on from there. And then talk about, okay, so now do you worship El or do you worship Yahweh? And then you can get into these nitpicky little details, which aren't so little, about God condoning slavery and God regulating slavery and God condoning genocides and All of that stuff. I mean, all of that stuff is in the Bible. And then you have, Junk Shop was reading in Ezekiel earlier. Um, and it was pretty boring. To tell you the truth, I really want the four-faced monsters on unicycles. If you don't get that joke, you can go to Junk Shop's channel for that joke, or you can wait until I get to Ezekiel, because I'll get to that joke. Sorry, Junk Shop, I'm the one that came up with it, so I get dibs on it. But yeah, you can use it, I don't care. So anyway, so these are all things that you need. Well, you don't need to, but you should ask Christians, because they don't know this stuff. Okay? Um, if you take um, if you take the Bible literally, which you absolutely shouldn't, but if you do, Noah's flood wiped out everyone but 8 people on on the face of the earth, and the animals. But 8 people. Okay. So then by the Exodus, now you have to realize there hasn't been a very long time between the flood and the Exodus. I don't know how much time, but not a lot of time. So how do the Jews, men alone, because of course women don't count and children don't count, so men alone, according to Exodus, the men who left Egypt numbered 600,000. If you go back to the flood and population dynamics, which was a lot different back then, you will find out there's no way there could have been 600,000 people in the world at the time of the Exodus, let alone 600,000 men, Israelites. Just, it can't happen. So you have to explain that. Then you have to explain the genetic bottlenecks. First of all, you have a genetic bottleneck with, Adam and Eve, and then God creates male and female of the different quote unquote kinds, and we still have no friggin' clue what a kind is. That's another thing you can ask your creationist friends. What's a kind? That'll get them every time. Not even the apologist can answer that question. What is a kind? Okay. So so then so then you go on and you have it's almost like God has a split personality, because you've got a God over here saying, you're my people and I love you. But then you have a God over here saying, you know what? But I'm going to punish you. It's like an abusive relationship. Seriously. It's like an abusive relationship. I hate you because I love you. That's an abusive relationship. And yeah, Nevermore. But, not only that, there are there are uh, organisms that don't have like a male or a female sex, but meaning their gametes are the same, but it is still sexual reproduction, even though it's not, even though there is no male or female sex, because they are gametes. It is sexual reproduction, but the gametes are the same. And then you have fish, not all fish, but some fish can change from male to female. So, it's just it's a mess. It's a mess for them. It really is. So you know, um but ask them who created God, and they're going to say, well, God always was. And then you can bring them to the point where, you know what, you said the universe needed a creator because the universe cannot always have been. Therefore, you are saying everything needs a creator, that nothing can exist of its own of its own existence. Therefore, God needs a creator. Okay. Which, you know, I'm not up, I have not read up on the Big Bang recently. Um, but as far as I know, uh, the something, we don't know what, caused a false vacuum to go into a true vacuum state. And in a true vacuum, quarks can pop into and out of existence. This has been observed. And from there, the universe took shape. So something created a true vacuum from a false vacuum. We don't know what that something was. It could just be that a false vacuum is so unstable, it just cannot exist for any length of time. So, sorry about that. Hi, Paul Camish. Junk shop, they say that. But seriously, how many of them really believe it? And, like I said, I don't care what anybody believes. I just want you to believe it because you believe it. I mean, even if it is stupid, which I believe the God belief is stupid, at least the Christian God belief. But if you want to believe in the Christian God, knock yourself out. I don't really care. But believe it because you believe it. Okay? Because that is the only good reason to believe it. All this other shit that you hear from your preachers and from apologists, that counts for nothing. The only way you can own your beliefs is if you believe it because you believe it. And don't let anyone tell you you have to believe this or you have to believe that. And so I think that's where I'm going to end today. Just, if you want to believe in God, and, I'm an agnostic atheist, which means I'm not saying there is no God, but I don't believe there is a God, especially the Christian God. But I do make room for a deistic God. Not that I will say there is a deistic God, I just leave room for one. Okay? But you believe what you believe because you want to believe it, because you believe it in your heart, and not because somebody has shoved it down your throat, not because your pastors have told you to believe it, not because your parents have told you to believe it, not because your friends have told you to believe it, but because you, in fact, believe it. And that is what you should believe. Yeah, and Junk Shop's right. And stop trying to proselytize us, because most of us atheists have been Christians. So we already know what you're going to say. You know, you're not you're not giving us any new arguments that we've never heard before. So, just stop trying to do it. So, at any rate, I think I'll leave that. Wow, that was shorter than I thought it was going to be. Um, but yeah. So, I do want to say one more thing. If you do find something, especially in my live streams, because my live streams are unscripted and nobody knows, not even me. I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth during my live streams. So if you catch something wrong in my live streams, or even in my edited videos, please correct me. I don't have any problem being corrected. So, and I will see you guys later. Bye.